Sheriff Mike Williams, and on behalf of the men and women of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, we are honored to once again be hosting this event. Every October, we join together with our law enforcement partners and regional domestic violence shelters to help raise the public's awareness about the dangers of domestic violence. We highlight resources available in our community and remember the victims that we've lost. I just want to take a quick moment to say thank you to Mayor Curry for joining us this morning, as well as leaders from the region's domestic violence shelters, including Dr. Gail Patton, the CEO of Hubbard House, Joyce Mayer, the Executive Director of the Betty Griffin House in St. Johns County, Anna Martinez Mullen, who is the CEO of the Quigley House in Clay County, and Lauren Good, the Community Engagement Director for Micah's Place in Nassau County. Also joining the men and women of the JSO this morning are the criminal justice partners from throughout the region, including representatives from the Baker County Sheriff's Office, the Clay County Sheriff's Office, the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, Nassau County Sheriff, Atlantic Beach Police Department, the Neptune Beach Police Department, the Jacksonville Beach Police Department, the Assistant State Attorney from the 4th Judicial Circuit, Representative Adair Newman is with us, and Dr. Charles Moreland from the Mayor's Office. So I also want to say thank you to the officers who work these cases each day and dedicate their time to getting justice for these victims. I'd also like to thank our victim advocates, Kathy Pinnell, Whitney Cruz, and Haraya Abatine for their commitment to helping these victims get their lives back on track. So ladies and gentlemen, no matter how you look at it, domestic violence continues to be an issue in this country, and it happens in every community, in all kinds of families and relationships. Domestic violence partners may be married, intimate partners, in a dating relationship, have a child together, or related by blood. Persons of any socioeconomic class, culture, religion, sexual orientation, marital status, age, and sex can be victims or perpetrators of domestic violence. Usually children in homes where there's a domestic violence issue are more likely to be abused and neglected. And even if a child is not physically harmed, they may have emotional and behavioral problems. So we come together once a year to remind the community that we're working behind the scenes 365 days a year, committed to resolving these issues. Every time a victim finds the courage to call police and ask us to intervene is a good day and the first step in the right direction. So as law enforcement, we are typically the first to come in contact with the victim or their family members following a crime, but we are not the last. We are fortunate to have professional services and organizations in our community to help our victims and to make sure that they have the services and support they need to start their healing process. In fact, at JSO, we have increased our victims advocacy program from 1 advocate to 3, and we just received word last week that we were awarded a grant to hire 2 more advocates this coming year. So our commitment is to those we serve and to continue to expand our team to meet the needs of our community. If one person learns about the many resources available to them as a victim and reaches out to any of us or chooses to leave their abuser, then we are closer to being successful in our mission to make every home a safe place that's free from violence. The reality is many domestic violence calls we receive don't meet the criteria of the criminal act. For example, there may be civil matters we get called out to, like a spouse tells their partner to move out after an argument. We get a call because the individual is refusing to leave the property and the situation has the potential to escalate. Even if a call may not be a criminal incident, our officers are trained to respond and provide assistance. For the past several years, we have used the phrase, intervention can stop escalation, and I still believe that this is the foundation to preventing future incidents from occurring. As of September 24th of this year, there have been more than 4,600 reported incidents of domestic violence in Duval County this year. That number is close to the number of incidents reported in 2017 during that same time period. The fact of the matter is, the sooner we can help victims get the necessary services, the first time a domestic incident occurs, the more we can help prevent a potential domestic murder from occurring in the future. In 2017, there were 12 domestic violence related murders in Duval County. In one of these cases, the suspect also committed suicide. And in one case, the victim died as a result of injuries that occurred in 2008. As of Thursday, September 20th of this year, there have been 6 domestic violence related murders in Duval County. The truth of the matter, one is one too many. And this one type of murder is one that is largely preventable. ask that tonight each of you pray for the victims' families that have been adversely impacted by the tragic events that took place in their loved one's life this year. To the victims, please hear this. We are here for you. We have an excellent domestic violence prevention program known as INVEST, the Intimate Violence Enhanced Services Team, which is a collaborative response to domestic violence. Partners are JSO, Hubbard House, and the City of Jacksonville. Between October 1st, 2017 and Wednesday, September 19th of this year, the INVEST team reviewed 7,168 reports. Out of these, 579 reports were identified as potential cases, with 61 victims accepting services. That small percentage is mind-boggling. There's one message I want to convey to anyone suffering in silence, and it would be this, that you, again, are not alone. Help is just a phone call away, and we are here to help. Local shelters are here to help. You just have to take the first step by picking up the phone. To the members of the community, it is important to recognize that there are 4 main types of abuse, which are physical, emotional, sexual, and economic. More information about these indicators can be found on Hubbard House's website at hubbardhouse.org. So together we can make a difference. Together we can get someone the help they need to get away from a toxic relationship. We are here 24 hours a day. Just pick up the phone, dial 911 for help. If you need someone just to talk to, again, Hubbard House has a hotline that is also available. And that number is 904-354-3114. It is vital for us to raise awareness about domestic violence, about the help that is available, again, at no charge. So thank you for all of you for being here today. And with that, I will invite Mayor Curry to the podium for some comments. Mayor?
Thank you, Sheriff. With estimates of over 25,000 women, children, and men being victims right here in Jacksonville of domestic abuse, today is really about shining a light in a very dark place. And echo what the Sheriff said, that to victims, you're not alone. I have a proclamation today, and this proclamation is not simply a piece of paper with words. This is a demonstration of your sheriff, your city, your state attorney, your public safety figures standing with Hubbard House and all those that are invested in taking care in eradicating domestic abuse. So with that, I'll read the proclamation. Whereas domestic violence is a crime that affects people of all races, genders, ages, and socioeconomic levels, and whereas it is estimated that more than 25,000 local women, children, and men are victims of domestic violence annually, and whereas domestic violence destroys an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity, and whereas the destructive impact of domestic violence is wide-reaching, affecting families, corporations, the criminal justice system, medical communities, and society as a whole, and whereas victims of domestic violence can suffer grave financial, physical, and psychological losses, and it is vital for our community to support these victims and their children. And whereas the perpetrators of domestic violence should face legal sanctions and receive help to overcome their abusive behavior. And whereas Hubbard House strives to eradicate domestic violence in Jacksonville, providing services to more than 5,000 adults and children each year, promoting its message of every relationship violence-free. Now therefore, I, Lenny Curry, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of Jacksonville, Florida, do hereby proclaim October 2018 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Jacksonville, and encourage all citizens to join me in working to eliminate personal and institutional violence against adults and children, and encourage healthy, supportive relationships. We also recognize the vital role Hubbard House plays in serving this vulnerable portion of our community.
Great, thank you, Mayor. And again, I want to thank the Mayor for his continued support of public safety in many arenas, obviously this being included. With that, I'd like to invite Darren Newman to come up and say a few words.
Good morning. For over 20 years, concerned members of our community have come together as a part of the Duval County Domestic Violence Fatality Review Team. And over those 20 years of study, it has been clear that domestic violence affects a multitude of sectors in our community. Whether it is the victim of trauma, or a child who's witnessing violence in the home, or a coworker who sees the aftermath of domestic violence. Domestic violence takes a toll on so many members of our take on this review every year because of how important intervention that could lead to the prevention of domestic violence is. The State Attorney's Office has the honor of working with valued partners like Hubbard House, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, the Attorney General's Office, the Clerk of Courts, First Coast Child Protection Team, the U.S. Navy, and the University of North Florida as part of the annual Domestic Fatality Review Team. Dedicated individuals from each organization meet monthly to review these cases. They come from different areas, and the entire team provides findings and recommendations. As the director of the Special Victims Unit at the State Attorney's Office, I had the honor this year to serve as the chair of the committee, and I am here today to share with you some of the findings and recommendations that the team has made. In 2017, our team of professionals reviewed 14 cases that resulted in 15 deaths. Of the 14 cases, 11, or 79% of them, involved a male suspect, and 53% of the victims were females. This continues to highlight that women are still extremely vulnerable in these domestic violence situations. As with previous years, firearms remain the primary weapon in domestic violence homicides. Abusers who have firearms have the potential to become killers. And when domestic violence victims come forward, it is extremely important that lethality assessments and safety planning be thoroughly discussed. Substance abuse and addiction is a crisis gripping not just our community, but our nation as a whole. And addiction plays a role in domestic violence. 6 cases, or 43% of those reviewed in 2017, involved suspects who had a prior arrest relating to substance abuse. It is a number that has dramatically increased over these past 20 years. We know that addiction affects not just the addict, but all of those around them. And that includes the family unit, which is also severely impacted by domestic abuse. Sadly, 1 child was killed, and children were present at 5 of the other cases that were reviewed. When children witness violence, the trauma has a ripple effect that shapes their lives for years. Despite these statistics from the past year, I would like to leave you today with a more hopeful message, and it is this, that we can make a difference. The odds are that many of us know someone who has been affected by domestic violence. We might not know it right now, but the signs are there. And awareness matters. We need everyone, friends, neighbors, families, co-workers, anyone, to recognize those signs and speak up and take a stand against domestic violence. Do not hesitate to call a shelter or ask advice or help with a safety plan. Be the person they need in their time of crisis before that crisis becomes a tragedy. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Deb. We are very fortunate in our community to have not only active partnerships and support from the law enforcement partners you see up here today, but from our state attorney, again, our mayor, our public defender. The fact that we can all sit in the room and have discussions about topics like this and work on solutions together is incredibly important to this community. So with that, I'm going to invite Dr. Gil Patton, who's the CEO of Hubbard House, to come forward.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us at our Domestic Violence Awareness Month Kickoff Press Conference. Joining me here today are representatives from sister shelters, Betty Griffin Center, Micah's Place, and Quigley House. Today, we stand in solidarity to share this simple and straightforward truth. We, Hubbard House, Betty Griffin Center, Quigley House, and Micah's Place, are the solution for survivors of domestic violence who need safety and a new start. As the CEO of Hubbard House, I'll give you an example of how we, as domestic violence centers, help. For 43 years, Hubbard House has provided emergency shelter and wraparound services to victims of domestic violence and their families in our local community. When I say wraparound services, I mean shelter, hotline, food, clothes, counseling, case management, resource referrals, job search assistance, legal help, childcare, and much, much more. At the end of the day, we all do everything we can to support survivor safety, survivor empowerment, and to help with comfort and healing. In addition to our longevity, we can offer evidence that we are the solution. In 2017, 4,407 women, children, and men received shelter and services from Hubbard House on their journey to peace. Many others were served at our sister domestic violence centers. However, according to the 2017 fatality report that Adair just mentioned, despite an overall decline in homicides, both nationally and locally, there has been no such decline in domestic violence homicides. None. We know this. Too many victims and their families are dying. Too many are suffering in silence. Too many may not even be aware of the dangers they face as they attempt to leave the abuser and escape from the violence in their home. Here's the truth though. For victims, leaving is the most dangerous time. In fact, half of the 2017 intimate partner violence victims happened while the person was leaving or after they had left. Friends, we still have a lot of work to do. To change this, we need the help of our community to raise awareness of domestic violence, as well as the shelter and services available through Hubbard House and all of our sister shelters. Here's one simple action you can take. Join our Facebook or Twitter communities and share one of our October posts with the hashtag #9TooMany. This hashtag is specific to Duval Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and it recognizes the 2017 Duval County intimate partner-related homicides. Yes, there were 15 domestic violence homicides. Hubbard House and our sister shelters focused on the intimate partner homicides, as that is our mission. Hashtag #9TooMany reminds us, as my colleagues have already said, that one death is one too many. It also allows you to share our 24/7 domestic violence hotline number with your friends and your followers. Do this and you may save a life in your own circle. You definitely will save somebody's life. Each of these domestic violence centers are working to spread awareness this month. Please share their social media posts as well. With 1 in 3 women suffering intimate partner domestic violence in their lifetime, you are very likely to reach someone suffering silently and in need of help. Someone Hubbard House and our sister shelters just couldn't reach without you. And to the victims of domestic violence, I want you to hear this clearly. If your partner has ever threatened to kill you, threatened you with a weapon, or you believe that he or she will kill you, you need help now. Please find a safe place, a safe phone, and call the 24-hour hotline number, which is 1-800-500-1119. And you can speak to a trained advocate. Calls are confidential, and the help is free. Let us help you leave safely. We believe you. We are here for you. You are not alone. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you, Gail. You know, as I mentioned, we're fortunate to have the support of a lot of government agencies, but we really could not be successful in this work without our service provider partners that, you know, are the experts in this field and really work hand in hand with us day to day to really help us to overcome this issue really once and for all. So again, I want to thank all of our partners for coming out today, and I also like to thank the members of the media who come out each year and cover this event. As again, grab a purple pen as they need today. So with that, again, thank everyone